From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big day here on Home LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In today's recording, we go over the great news about CR for Stimulus 1.0 that is now $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds allocated in the bipartisan CR. Those discretionary funds are at the discretion of Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary. That's not her, but, that's her stand-in double. She has discretion on how to use the money. Oh boy, I have the latest details about the big, exciting elements of CR for Stimulus 1.0. Then we'll be turning to CR for Stimulus 2 and 3.0 and also 4.0. 2 and 3 merging in the Senate and 4.0 heating up with Vladimir Putin. I have the latest details on how this impacts the Putin situation, and this is also not Vladimir Putin. Those details coming up in today's recording. Then we'll be looking back at Build Back Better Act that is going to the finish line and paying people lots of money. I have all that, plus the opportunity of SS 300. Oh my goodness, but you know what Home LA is about. And today, what are we about? We're about being very nuts. You're just nuts, LA. You are just nuts, LA. We are nuts. And today, we're all about the nuts. We'll be going over how to bake with nuts, which nuts work, how to buy the nuts, whether they are sliced or in full, or what type of flavors, and what to stock the pantry when you're going on a baking ensemble. It's the encounter group. It's the nuts encounter group. And today we get very nutty because guess what? It's all about stimulus and getting nutty. Joseph Biden is saying he wants these automatic adult stimulus checks to go out right away. It's not nuts, it's reality. And I'm going to go over the latest details on that as a big noontime LA heats up. And it heats up direct from Santa Monica, California with all the incredible deliciousness starting right here, right now as noontime home stream stimulus gets underway. Hey, good day, everybody. How are you doing? Well, the incredible great news is that the House has passed actually two pieces of legislation now. It has passed the Build Back Better Act and also the CR for Stimulus 2.0, sent it to the Senate with their version of 3.0. The Senate changes to CR for Stimulus 3 and 2 covered in this video. Plus, the incredible great news is that CR for Stimulus 1.0 has now $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds that could include your checks in there. I have the latest details on that. Plus, big details of checks galore in the Build Back Better Act, at least $15,000 of them. But no time or place to wait for that because guess what? Viewers have cleaned up with $10,000 to $40,000 this week from third stimulus. Oh boy. I have the latest on that. Plus, you know what Home LA is about? It's about your cooking. And it's the second half of this video, whether it's home or decor or cooking. Today we go nuts. We literally go nuts. Just today, otherwise we're normal. It's coming up late in this video, but first I want you part of this incredible family, and I need your assistance. So go onto this video right now and subscribe. You're watching the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. Hit that subscribe button and bring us to number 2. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. We have a lot in today's recording, folks. We're going to go over the Build Back Better Act to start with first, and there is lots of checks in there. It's 3 clusters of checks with 3 add-ons. We're going to look at each of them right now. But those 3 clusters add up to a lot of money. How much money, folks? A lot of it. It's upwards of $15,000 to $60,000 of checks across those 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. We're going to look at each of these incredible sums of money starting right now. But boy, let's count the money. $15,000 to $60,000 of checks to start. And here we rock and roll And let's look at that big first add-on of checks. Here we go. That first cluster of checks starts right now. Hazard pay got in there for my essential workers, one more year of checks. The earned income tax credit. Then $4,000 of elder care checks got in there. $4,000 of care for young children checks. $3,600 the CTC, one more year. $550 check for the Pell Grants recipients got it in there. $12,500 for the purchase of an electric vehicle and home repairs if you live in a low-income community. Wow, that is incredible. They got those checks in there as well. The first add-on as a checks comes from here in Southern California from Maxine Waters. She got it in there, and that is $25,000, just a little bit less for the purchase of your first home. This is money given to the seller in your name from the federal government at the time of escrow's closing. Wow, for the purchase of your first home. Got it in there. Let's now turn to the second cluster checks. Home repairs. Home repairs to sustain natural disaster, which is every time the neighbors move in wearing lobster shorts. Horrible natural disaster. You need to weatherize your home. And paid leave. Every time you have to take off from work because your senator showed up wearing lobster shorts and you just felt very sick. That is paid leave. How much money are you going to get paid leave? $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. $35,000 annual salary, that's $800 a week. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. So yeah, that is a lot of money. A lot of money, $4,000 to $6,000, and that is W-2 1099. You all get these sums of money. The great news is that you get these sums of money even if you don't work. If your son or daughter works, then they get the checks. They have to take off from work to take you to the doctor's office once a week across the board. There you go. That is paid leave. That is the second cluster of checks. Now let's turn to the second add-on of checks. Comes from the incredible Bob Casey. $250 billion of free home health care got it in there. Wow, that is huge, and that money got in there. Free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Let's look at that third cluster of checks. Free internet for all. Farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and then seniors checks. 2 on the Senate, on the House, 3 coming on the Senate side. On the House side, they got the dental, and, they got the hearing and the Medicaid gap fix. On the Senate, they vowed to add in their dental and vision and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course when we're talking about senators adding checks as recon. You know what we're about to say. MSC. MSC are adult stimulus checks that the senators represent. They're adding in there. And that Joe Biden, with his spokesperson, Andrew Yates or Bates or whichever motel it is, says he wants all these checks to go out. So let's go over these checks and understand who gets them, where do you get them, and what are they. First, what is MSC? It stands for monthly IRS stimulus check. It's a check that goes out from IRS on a monthly basis. Well, who gets it? The people who get it would be the people who got a third stimulus check, so says the legislators to tens of thousands of viewers of this channel. So who gets that third and who gets a fourth? Single individual, $75,000 less annual income, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less annual income, you get it, double it. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you get as well. Family of 4, like this family of 4, they get it. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, you get as well. SSI, SSDI, VA, RB, you all get it. Adult dependents also get it. Now, someone had a great question yesterday. What about children? Do they get it? No. This is an adult automatic stimulus check. The children get the CTC. The children will get a check, but it's not this one. They get a different check across the board. One person yesterday said, my fiance says you got to repay it back. Trying to find a new fiance. This is an encounter group, so let's have the encounter group help you encounter a new fiance and check and see what the return policy is on the engagement ring. I think it's still within the 30-day period. Another person said, this is only in California. If it was in California, it would come with a surfboard and a better pair of abs. No, this is not California stimulus, folks. And it may come with her if it was in California as well. So no, it's not California stimulus, folks. And there you go. How much is it? $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. And there we go. Where do we get this added in there? Well, it gets added in on the Senate side. Don't understand how the senators adds checks? Let's go over that right now. The senators add checks during the subcommittee on the Senate side. And the senators represent, they have a lot of checks to add in there, including this. They add them on the Senate side. Then they have a Senate bill. Then they call the Senate bill for a vote. Then it's done until vote-a-rama on the Senate side. Senate vote-a-rama, then it's finished. But this hasn't happened. 11 months hasn't happened. So 4 weeks ago, I brought back on air CR for Stimulus, a creation of mine back in 2020, got millions of Americans a $600 stimulus check in December 2020. And 4 weeks ago, I said to viewers, do you want it back? And they said, yes, bring it on back. And we did. And immediately it started to make history again because CR for Stimulus 1.0 got $1.5 trillion of discretionary funds allocated in there. Oh boy, I have the latest on that coming up after the commercial, coming up in just a second. Then CR for Stimulus 2, 3.0 heat up as well, and 4.0 heat up as well. Wow. So what is CR for Stimulus? Let's go over, if you're new to this channel, what CR for Stimulus is. It was a creation of mine back in 2020 where I said millions of Americans needed more money. And you needed more money, and second stimulus wasn't finishing. We had seen a first stimulus package. We had gotten the money. We were out of it. And we had heard about a second stimulus package, but still no deal by spring of 2020. The negotiators at the time were Nancy Pelosi in spring of 2020 on behalf of the Democrats, Speaker of the House, and Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Republicans, Treasury Secretary. Spring, no deal. Fall, no deal. Winter, no deal. So by December, I said, I need to find something else. And I said, this is what I need. I need bipartisan legislation, a bill just a few hundred pages length, not thousands of pages length, like a package, not partisan package. And it has an inherent deadline. And I found a continuing resolution. Continuing resolution is what's used to fund the federal government every 6 to 3 months. And with that, I made the first recording on air in December 2020, but I also prepared for the criticism. And I said, hey, everybody, it's LALATE. It's December 2020. Do you want to use something else? I found it. CR for Stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, write the hashtag campaign. The idea is inserting a stimulus check into a very small bipartisan piece of legislation with an inherent deadline. And we advocated for it. CR for Stimulus. Immediately, the criticism came on in. Doesn't belong in there, LA. You're crazy. You're nuts. No, that's coming up later in the video. It doesn't belong in there. They were right. But I pushed back. I said, just because it doesn't belong in there doesn't mean they can't put it in there. During the pandemic, they had tons of legislation that had checks in there that didn't belong. So we pushed, and one morning we woke up and we're told it got in there. A $600 stimulus check got into the continuing resolution of 2020. And guess what? It became law. I made history. The viewership of this channel, Purple Power, made history. The $600 stimulus check was delivered to millions of Americans in December 2020. And that was the creation of myself and this channel. Guess what happened? Second stimulus never happened. Second stimulus never got a bill, never got a vote, never got a check, never paid anyone any money. Thank goodness for CR for Stimulus. So 4 weeks ago, I delivered the advocacy, and guess what happened? CR for Stimulus 1, 2, 3, and 4.0 now. Let's go over the latest updates on each of them, starting right now. Quick rundown, because you know that's what Home LALATE is about. Quick rundown about your stimulus. So the latest update on CR for Stimulus 1.0 is all great news. There is $1.5 trillion of discretionary funding put into CR for Stimulus by bipartisan support by both Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate. That $1.5 trillion of discretionary funding means that the cabinet members of Joe Biden can determine how to discretionarily spend the money. The $1.5 trillion is great because that is more than many stimulus packages before covered on this channel. So that's more than enough for a stimulus check and more than enough for the discretion of those cabinet members to spend it on you. The inherent deadline now is early March. That's CR for Stimulus 1.0. Let's now turn to CR for Stimulus 2.0. That passed 1 week from the first recording of CR for Stimulus 2022 on this channel. And now that's headed over to the Senate. The Senate Republicans actually say, we love what the Democrats did in the House. We want to merge it together. Todd Young, Republican, says we're going to merge it with what the House Democrats did. That's CR for Stimulus 2 and 3. The latest update on CR for Stimulus 4.0 is the Russian sanctions bill. This is fascinating because The sanctions bill here is not really making a lot of sense. Why? It's bipartisan, has an inherent deadline, and it's just a few hundred pages in length, but it hasn't been done. Republicans, Democrats don't understand what Chuck is doing on this. This needs to be done before Vladimir invades, and this should have been done 3 weeks ago. So as we said at the time of this recording, we hope it gets done before Vladimir invades. Otherwise, I guess it gets done after Vladimir invades. And that is CR for Stimulus 4.0. The other great news is the president's opportunity to give you SS 300. Wow, we have a lot more of this on Afternoons LA coming up after this recording. This video will automatically take you there. But Joe Biden promised you SS 200. He did not deliver. He promised it on the campaign. He promised on joebiden.com. It's on his website. You can read it right now. And he did not deliver it. Democrats understood his inability to deliver it and then said, we're going to do it with this stimulus. That has not happened. So I delivered on air 2 weeks ago SS 200, the opportunity to do it, but now it's 300. Why? Because inflationary numbers for later this year signal that inflation will be 4% later this year. 300 follows the following dynamic. $200 right now by replacing COLA with inflation would raise your benefits up $200 a month right away. And then because inflation will be about 4% later this year, following the 8% right now, that would raise you up another $100 by the end of this year. The year after that, it's likely to raise you up another $60, $80. So that'd be about $350, $360, $370, $390. That's about SS 400 in 2 years. All really incredible. And this is what Joe Biden can do. I have the latest details on that coming up on Afternoons LA, which this video will take you to next if you're watching this at noontime. Otherwise, Evenings LA, Evenings Extra, following at 8 o'clock right after this video. But first, coming up after the commercial break, we're going to go nutty. Who said we weren't already nutty? We're going to talk about nuts in baking. What type of nuts should you use in baking? What type of nuts don't work? What type of nuts, the whole nut or the sliced nut? We're going to go over suggestions, so jump in the live chat. Which nuts do you keep in your pantry right now for cooking? I want you to put it in the live chat. Which type of nuts do you keep in the pantry for cooking? And we're not going to talk about just baking, but also cooking. Baking is the top priority, but I also want to hear what other items you may use for roasting that are all nuts. Jump in the live chat and write your comments. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the show heats up and gets nuttier as we go over nuts on home. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Home LA as we go into the big second half. CR Stimulus was 1, 2, 3, and 4, heating up really well. CR Stimulus 1.0, $1.5 trillion of discretionary spending, which would be spent on you. Its inherent deadline now is early March. This is huge. The discretion is in the hands of cabinet members, including Joe Biden's Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Then we have the exciting details of Bill that are still going to get passed. The fourth stimulus rate that has $50,000 to $60,000 of checks in there in addition to the MSC, the Democratic Senate is about to add in there $2,000 a month starting out the door, and these are adult automatic stimulus checks. Children checks as well. They're called CTC. But the opportunity for Joe Biden to send out big sums of money across the board, those other sums of money are SS 300. I have details on that coming up on Afternoons LA. Oh, it cleared up. I was like, what is that strange sound? It was a strange audio sound, and then it cleared up. That was really weird. It went nutty. How appropriate. We're going nutty, and the audio is no longer nutty, but I'm nutty starting right now. If you're in the live chat, write the type of nuts that you like to use when cooking in the cooking process. We've featured a lot of baking in this channel in recent days on Home LALATE, and one of the topics of the baking shows was which nuts to add during the baking process. I featured this in the recent update to the chocolate cake show, and I talked about the Planner's dry roasted peanuts. Why do I like this and keep this in the pantry for baking especially? Several reasons. One, it's a very decadent nut. It has a lot of flavor. It has a very good tang to it, and it comes as a whole nut. So what do? I put it in my hand, I just crush it, or put it under a towel and roll the rolling pin and crush them. A lot of function to it. So where is that nut part of the equation? I put it late in the baking process, otherwise inside the actual batter if I'm using a cookie or a dough or a cake or a souffle or something that is very, very gooey. That is the first opportunity. Here we're working with a whole nut, a salted nut, a dry roasted nut. So it has a lot of kick to it. If you're in the live chat right now, tell me which nuts you like to use and what you especially like to use the nuts for. So here we have a whole nut. Do not run from one using whole nuts or buying whole nuts, because you can simply crush them out. In many cases, the whole nut is economically a better investment for the pantry because the whole nut goes a longer way than the sliced nut. A lot of the retailers sometimes stick it to you with a sliced nut on price point when you can simply just go with a whole nut. Number two, just because it's a peanut, don't discount it and think it has less value for flavor in the cooking process. A lot of nuts have bad reputations. Are you a nut and you just have a bad reputation in your neighborhood? Yeah, the peanuts have a bad reputation sometimes in the neighborhood. It's just sort of a low-grade nut. We want the high-grade nuts. No. Believe it or not, peanuts have great flavor, and so do not discount them for bringing the support, the flavor, in the cooking process. Now, here's what a lot of people often default to. They default to almonds. Oh, I only use almonds. I'm a nut connoisseur. I'm a snooty nut cooker. And they'll go with sliced nuts. And here it says natural sliced almonds. Wow, that just hits all the points. It's natural, it's sliced, it's almonds. It's just perfect for the snooty type of baker. Now, just because it's an almond doesn't mean it has more flavor than the peanut. Here's a surprise. It has less flavor. Because it's sliced, first of all, it's reduced a lot of the flavor. And let's understand, here what's happened is the almond has been sliced, and after the slicing, there's no more cooking. So these sliced almonds are not roasted after slicing. That's why you're not going to get that tang of a peanut that was roasted on the whole outside. Let me say this very simply. You take the peanut completely roasted on the entire outside. You crush it. You got a lot of surfaces that have a lot of flavor if you put that into what you're cooking with. Here are the almond. Let me put this up really close. Look how blanched out, sort of light skinned they are. It's because they've been sliced. The interior is now exposed and they have not been roasted since slicing. So very, very fascinating across the board. When you put this inside of the batter of whatever you're cooking with, it's not going to have that kick because they have not been cooked yet. So what do I recommend? If you're going to go with a sliced nut and you want to really bring it up a notch, just put them in the pan, a little bit of olive oil, roast it real quickly. Maybe you want to put some ingredients on top of them, maybe a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, maybe you want to put a little bit of sugar, maybe a little bit of lemon juice. Get that flavor into them first before you add them into the baking process, because you're going basically with sort of a raw nut, a raw nut that won't get cooked anymore because it's inside of the batter, inside of the cookie dough, inside of the cake batter, inside of the bread batter. Yeah, so that is why when I'm working with nuts, I want to make sure the nut itself is prepared for what I want it to get. And I want it to get very nutty. So let's jump in the live chat right now and see some of the incredible comments. Paula says, I'm not an almond fan. Hubby is as well. There you go. Paula says she likes to work with pecans and walnuts. I totally try to go through those, though. She's nuts for them. Kamara says, I'm allergic to nuts, but they sound good. Oh, Rusty, with ice cream, put nuts on top. Oh, absolutely. So now this is an interesting point. Rusty makes a great point. Ice cream is just a dairy decadent. And so would you want something roasted on top of a dairy? No. That's why a almond slice, where it's softer, blander, works well with putting it on top of the ice cream. Very, very good point. Here's Angie. Put pecans in a chocolate chip cookie dough ball and use it to spread on top of graham cracker, and it's delicious. Wow, that is delicious. Let's read that again. So here's Angie Sue. She says, put pecans in a chocolate chip cookie dough, and then spread it on top of graham crackers. It's delicious. That sounds delicious. That sounds like a big winner right there. Let's see some more of the incredible comments. I want a pecan pie right now. Pecan pies are just really wonderful, folks. Now, the thing with pecan pies is back in the day, when I was in college and Martha Stewart just sort of coming on the scene, and she was in PBS. She didn't even have a cable show or anything. She had a pecan pie recipe early on in her tenure, and I ran with it. It was a lot of brown sugar, a lot of maple syrup. It was so good. But if you want something that literally knocks you over because it's so sugary, that wins it. Pecan really runs with the sugar well. It really, really runs with the sugar well. And I'm going to go back to that in a second. Here's cashews and pistachios. So Lisa Vaughn, she likes pistachios and cashews. Really great. If you're in live chat, just join in. Post the nuts you like to work with, and also say which things you like to put the nuts on. As one person said, I like to put the sliced almonds on top of the ice cream. So put it in the comments which items you like to put it on. When we're talking about which nuts carry the sugary element the best, I really do think it's the pecans and the peanuts or hazelnuts really carry the sugaring process the best. What do I talk about this? What am I referring to? What I'm referring to, and I talked about this a little bit the other day on the chocolate cake episode, is that I like to take the nuts, then drizzle over them some melted butter. Maybe just pour the butter in the microwave for just a few seconds. Pour some melted butter over it. Then some sweet and low or some artificial sweetener. Or maybe a little bit of, pure maple syrup, maybe a little lemon juice. Mix it around. Oh, there you go. You've suddenly taken a nut that had a lot of flavor and sweetened it up. And pecans, I think, work really well with this. A hazelnut and a peanut. Let's see what some of the comments are in the live chat right now. So Jean Morale says, pecans, sliced almonds are better. Just roast them in your cast iron pan. Good point. I like pecans because they have flavors without roasting. That is also a really good point by Jean. That the pecans really come in their raw state with that kick. Used blanched almond flour instead of white flour, better for the person adding. That's also really great advice. Thank you, Jean Morale, for those great comments. Coconut flakes with, here's also Jean Morale. Coconut flakes with chocolate monk fruit instead of super. Wow. Incredible. Just incredible. There's Susan saying, I'm craving mustard greens and almond onions, fried cornbread patties. That is deliciousness as well. When choosing your nuts, sometimes it's an element of how much nut is in the actual ingredient list. You saw in some of the recordings I've made so far on this channel that I use a lot of nuts. I generally use, when baking, at least a cup of the nuts. Now, here's one of the points to consider, is how are you measuring out the nuts? For example, if we're using pecan, and a pecan is a big nut, and you're trying to pour it into the measuring cup, you're not going to get a pure measurement out of just pouring it in there. Do you crush the pecans up and then measure, or how do you run with it? Well, it depends on the recipe. If it's a pecan, for example, and I'm putting it inside the dough, I'm crushing it, folks. I'm not. You're crushing the nuts, Alec. You're crushing it. You're crushing it when it comes to the nut videos. Yeah, I'm crushing the nuts. I'm crushing the pecans because the pecan itself is too big of a nut to go inside of the batter. If it's going on top of the batter, like as a glaze on top, I'm keeping it whole. So I'm crushing it, measuring it into the cup, then pouring it in the batter. Certain other nuts, like peanuts, I don't care. I'll crush as much as I can, but I know I won't be able to crush much of it because it's a hard nut. Hazelnut, same thing, same sort of problem. But I'll bring it as much up to the measuring cup level. And if I see a lot of wasted space, then I'll just do an extra cup. I don't think you can ever underappreciate the nuts addition to the ingredient list. So don't worry if you double the number of cups allocated for nuts in the ingredient list of whatever you're doing, because I think it works across the board. Here is Paula. Hey Gene, does the almond butter have a strong almond flavor? It does. Now, they do have almond paste out there, and it is hideously expensive, folks. Almond paste is so good. It is absolutely so good. If you go to your local bakery, a lot of your almond dessert items have almond paste in it, but it's insanely expensive. I think we almost need a video about how to make almond paste, or anyone who says has a recipe about how to make almond paste at home. I think we need that as well, because almond paste is really one of the best things to use. There's a lot of recipes that call for adding almond paste to the ingredients. I've never done it because it's so expensive. It is just ridiculously expensive. It was expensive before inflation. I can't imagine what it is right now. Here's Gene. I use a small chopper. Crush all the nuts better for the older. Oh, that's a great point. You know, we have those. They have these little crushers that are sometimes $5-9, and you put the nuts in there. You crush real quickly. It is easier than any of the, bringing out the Cuisinart, pulling it out of the cupboard. You just do it 1, 2, 3, and you're done, and you are ready to rock and roll. So that's a great advice across the board. Now, for me, what I do is I'll just do a crush in the hand. Just a crush in the hand. I don't need it that crushed. And this is another topic of discussion. When you're crushing nuts, you don't want to over crush them. You don't want to bring them down into just tiny microscopic pieces. I like the crunchiness of the nut. That's the first thing. The second one is if your hands are not that strong because of whatever condition you have, just use your rolling pan. Put them on the on the breadboard, cover with a towel, roll the rolling pin over the nuts, and you're good to go. You're ready to rock and roll. But again, the best nuts I prefer to default to are peanuts. I love pecans. Very good. They're very expensive, but they're very, very good. And, I like hazelnuts on some occasions. They're very sometimes hard to get. And sometimes it's a hit and miss. You got to be very careful of hazelnuts. They get bad very quick. They get bad. And when they get bad, they just get very, very, Yeah. I don't want to say the word in the video because it's just, we'll all lose our appetite very quickly. And, we lose our appetite every time we see lobster shorts. So we don't need to have any other reasons to lose our appetite in a particular video. But then almonds I like. Almonds, I've never found a real good purpose for almonds in the baking process because I just don't think they have a lot of flavor. Now, walnuts, absolutely. Walnuts are great. The worst thing that can come out of walnut in the baking process is that it's just it's too overwhelming. It's a little bit bitter. But walnuts bring the flavor. Walnuts bring the flavor. They're generally economically valued on the scope of price point, and they don't require a lot of effort. They're easy to crush also, and you throw them in there. The worst part of it is that they may be on the little bit bitter side. Again, the way you solve this, throw in some melted butter and a little bit of sweet and low, ready to rock and roll. Here is some more comments across the land. Here's Mary Wilson. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Shirley saying, hey, Rusty, how are you? Jean says, figs, just cut them and use kitchen scissors also. Yeah, great idea. Paula says, don't crush your nuts. Put figs in the microwave. First, get them. And someone says they got their figs from Walmart. Is that dry figs? I've never tried that. I'll look. That's a great point. I've never looked to buy dry figs, which is a great suggestion. Who is that from? Oh, it's from Gene again. Gene is killing on the great comments today across the land. But the almond paste is really one of the greatest nut additives. It is very expensive. Now, you see me feature vanilla extract a lot on this channel. Vanilla extract you can get at your Smart & Final. It comes in a very big bottle, $2, $3. Last year for 6 months. There is an almond extract as well. It's obviously more expensive than vanilla. It works good. It has that great flavor to it. It doesn't have a sweetening effect to it, so I would use both of them together. So I would still stay with the vanilla extract to sweeten up your sugar-free chocolate cake. But if you want to bring in a nut flavor and you also have the nuts in there, but when you take it up another notch, you can then use that almond extract in there. Do not worry about using almond extract with peanuts. It's an extract. It's just the consumer, the son or daughter eating the meal will not turn to you and say, "Mom, is that almond extract with pecans? Are you going nuts? It's two different nuts." You will not sensory recognize the almond extract over the pecan. And same thing with the almond paste. Almond paste with a hazelnut. Don't worry. The senses can generally not pick up the differences across the board. Put figs in the microwave first, then get the hazelnut flour from Walmart. Oh, hazelnut flour from Walmart. Walmart, says Gene. I may try that. I never thought about that across the board. Gene, make your own almond paste in the food processor. Yeah, you have to have a very good the sharp knives on the food processor, because that almond paste has to be very, very pasty. It cannot be across the board. Lemon extract, $7. Wow. It's not as expensive over here in Southern California, but great advice across the board. Coming up next is, if you're watching this at 11 a.m. live, it is noon time. It is 1 o'clock afternoons LA. As we go over the latest details on your stimulus. If you're watching this at 7 o'clock on home stream stimulus, next up is Evenings Extra. Big breaking news today about CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. Build Back Better Act, the forced stimulus recon, will become a law. Joe Biden wants all those checks to go out right away. He's ready, including those adult IRS stimulus checks, MSCs. Then we'll be looking at the president's opportunity to do SS 300. This is $300 on top of your existing benefits if you're on Social Security, SSI, RB, Veterans, VA, or anything like that, like SSD or SSI. Those opportunities all coming up on the next recording. Then, If you keep this intact, then what will happen is that your benefits would potentially go up $80 to $90 each year thereafter. By 2 years out, we could be seeing SS 400. The president also has the opportunity to repurpose sums of money. All that coming up in the next show. This video will automatically take you there. But first, I want you to subscribe. You're watching LA, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay LA for more.